regular theater drama until it's not regular theater drama.
You deliberately misled me.
I'm embarrassed just listening to you.
Amazing Technicolor Shit Show.
Hello and welcome. This is Amazing Technicolor Shit Show, the podcast about fumbles and follies from live theater. I'm Trev.
And I'm Al.
And we are on camera for those of you who could see us.
I was going to say we're live and in the flesh, but we're not in the flesh if you're watching this.
We are flesh, but we are not live.
We're not really in the flesh for you if you're watching, but we're in the flesh for each other.
This
but
is
we
new
always
for
are.
us. This, of course, a podcast about live theater is not live, which is unfortunate. Maybe we'll have to do a live taping
But
someday.
it is highly theatrical. Okay, to be fair, I think we will have made it as podcasters if we ever do a live show.
So
That'll
true.
be it. That'll be...
So true. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, someday.
Maybe we'll have an audience. We can, if you pledge $1,000 to us, we'll let you sit in our studio.
Yeah.
Our cute little green room.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're new here, welcome to the green room.
We painted it green.
We painted our little studio green because now it's a green room.
And for those of you who are utterly confused, we did add a video version of our podcast. You do not need to watch us, but if you're curious as to what we look like, you may. We're on YouTube.
Now you know.
Now
this
you
is
know.
Us.
So today we are talking about Elle has told me just a little bit about what you're getting into today.
It is a notorious theater mishap. You could say.
Notorious theater mishap.
Yep.
I'm excited to learn more. We can dive right in because I believe it is a doozy.
Yeah, this one's a doozy.
All right.
Places.
Thank you, places. All right, Trav, today I'm going to regale you with a shocking, true story that took place during a theatrical production. But first, let's meet some of the actors in the lead roles. Laura Keane was born Mary Frances Moss in Winchester, England. She married a British Army man and had 2 children. In 1850, her husband was arrested and convicted, although the nature of his crimes are lost to history. We do know he was sent to Australia on a prison ship.
Wow.
Mary...
Transported.
Right? Mary had some family members who were actors, and they urged her to join the industry, sort of as a way of supporting her and her 2 children. She assumed a new stage identity as Laura Keane. And she became quite successful, traveling to New York and California. She even became a theater director and one of the U.S.'s first female managers.
Interesting.
Good
so
for her.
Remind me when about this is?
This is 1850 was when
Okay.
her husband was convicted and sent to Australia.
Sure.
So this is during the 1850s. Laura Keane makes a name for herself in the United States and becomes one of the first female theater managers.
Go off, Laura.
We love a queen.
Yes.
Slay.
Slay queen. Slay Laura.
Queen. Slay Laura. So, during her first stint in California, Laura was cast opposite another successful American actor named Edwin. Edwin was actually part of a major U.S. theater family. His father and 2 brothers were all pretty well-known American actors. At one point, all 3 brothers were in a production of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar together. So, Laura and Edwin would tour together in Australia and are rumored to have had a spicy affair as well.
Of course.
Obviously.
Obviously.
You know, they're
it can
touring
only be
together.
assumed.
Her husband's away in Australia.
But they're
you know.
in Australia.
Well, they're
Is
on
that
tour.
gonna be awkward?
And then they went, yeah. So anyway.
Oh, Lordy. Okay.
But they toured together and rumored to have been in a romantic relationship.
A showmance, if you will.
Yes, a tour showmance.
A tourmance.
However, supposedly Edwin's behavior while on tour made her reconsider the romantic side of the relationship, but the 2 did remain colleagues, have a friendly working relationship only after that. By the late 1850s, Laura was a manager and star at her own theater company, Laura Keene Theater.
Neat.
And she would bring her productions on tour all around the U.S. And by the 1860s, Laura was one of the most famous actors in the U.S. So, one of Laura Keene's acting troupe members was Harry Hawk. Harry Hawk was a popular comedian who rose through the theatrical ranks. I thought this was kind of interesting. He actually began his career as a stagehand at the McVickers Theater in Chicago.
Oh my gosh.
And eventually, he just kind of rose through the ranks. He took small roles. He ended up taking bigger roles. He was a comedic actor who was really well loved. And by the time we get to this particular point in history, he is also a well-known American actor and comedian.
Sure. McVickers Theater, of course, mentioned in the musical Chicago.
Yes.
If you're wondering where you've heard that before.
Yeah, exactly. So now we reach the point of our story.
Yeah, so we've got our characters.
So we have our
kooky cast of
actors. Yep,
characters.
we have Laura Keene. She's in sort of the main role.
We've got Edwin, the showman's turned
Edwin,
show friendship.
the showman's turned tour friend. Edwin's not in this production, but Edwin is her former lover / work colleague.
Situationship.
It's her situationship.
Showtuationship.
Her situationship, if you will. And so now she has actor-comedian Harry Hawk performing with her in this particular production. Harry Hawk is in the titular role in the production in question, Our American Cousin. So, Our American Cousin is a comedy by British playwright Tom Taylor, and it features a clash of cultures between a hoity-toity British family and their distant American cousin, a country bumpkin who somehow manages to inherit the family estate. So it is a comedy. Probably some of the jokes now wouldn't really make sense to us because it is written in very 1850s and 60s-y style dialogue.
As you could expect.
So, as you can expect. But at the time, it was a beloved comedy. The night of this particular performance, the cast was very excited. There were some celebrities in the audience. Henry Hawk was alone on stage in Act 3 when he said the play's iconic comedic line, "Don't know the manners of good society, eh? Well, I guess I know enough to turn you inside out, old gal, you sockdologizing old man-trap."
Man-trap.
Sockdologizing.
What does that mean? Sockdologizing.
Yeah, I don't think nobody uses the word sockdologizing anymore, but I think
Who's
it's just
to
an
say?
insult. It's kind of like foolish or
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's one of those
Just
words that you hear it and get the drift.
Yeah, I think it's like frontier slang.
Okay, sure.
Anyway, Henry Hawk says this very iconic line.
Cutting, I can assure
very
you.
cutting line.
Uh-huh.
It was at this moment that the audience erupted with laughter. That was the big comedic line of the show. So
Okay.
it was expected that the audience was going to laugh at this line.
Okay.
And they did.
Okay.
And then, cutting through the mirth, there came the bang of a gunshot.
Yeah.
A man leapt down from one of the box seats onto the stage. Henry Hawk panicked. He thought he might be next. He backed away off the stage as quickly as he could, but not before he got a look at the man's face and immediately recognized him. The perpetrator was a well-known actor who had escaped through a stage door after the crime and onto a waiting carriage. Yes, the infamous performance in question was on April 14th, 1865 at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C.,
Yeah.
the night of President Lincoln's assassination.
See, I thought I knew the play Our American Cousin.
Yes, that's where
I had
you
an
know.
inkling.
That's where you know the name of that play from.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So, how had this man managed to gain access to the president's box during the play?
Mm-hmm.
John Wilkes Booth, younger brother of Edwin Booth,
Oh.
was a professional actor who had performed many times in Ford's Theater and knew the building and the actors and staff well.
So wow.
Yeah. So, the lead of the play, Laura Keene, she has this strong working relationship with this very famous, well-known American actor, Edwin Booth.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I had no clue that everybody was so closely linked.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't know who these people were, but
yes.
But that John Wilkes Booth knew intimately the theater scene in that theater. I guess, makes sense.
Yes, people kind of casually throw it around that, John Wilkes Booth was an actor.
Did you know?
Like, people know that.
Uh-huh.
But honestly, that's the reason that he knew the theater. That's the reason he knew where to go, and that he could slip in and around the theater very much undetected. He was a regular actor. He performed at that stage many times.
Yeah.
So he knew the staff. He knew the people. I mean, his brother was also very well acquainted with everyone. All the theater celebs at the time knew him and his brother.
Yeah.
His brother, Edwin Booth, actually is the founder of the Booth Theater in New York City, which still exists today. It's named after Edwin Booth. So, he knew everybody. He had those connections. And his brother was literally in a situationship previously with the lead of this show.
Wow. That's dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense for the perpetrator of this crime to know the building well, to be able to slip away unnoticed in a particularly dramatic fashion through a trap door.
And furthermore, he knew exactly what time in the show the big laugh was going to happen. He knew, he's like Act 3 when Henry Hawk is on the stage. That's when he says this one line, the Sockdologizing Old Man-Trap line.
And everybody thinks to themselves, what does that actually mean?
And nobody knows what, but everybody's going to laugh at it. That's the, what do they call that when it's the thing that everyone has to laugh at? The claptrap. It's the claptrap.
Is that man-trap?
Man-trap.
It wasn't a claptrap. There was the claptrap of man-trap.
But this is the moment in the show that is going to get the big laugh. And John Wilkes Booth knows this because he knows the show. And some said he even appeared at one of the rehearsals for it. I don't know if that's true. That's probably just a rumor. But certainly this was a very popular show at the time. Certainly he knew the show, and he knew at what point it was going to be a big laugh.
The man-trap claptrap was itself a trap.
And
led to a trap door.
So many well, it wasn't a trap door, but it was a stage door that he managed to
My brain
slip out.
just decided it was trap door.
That would have been way more of an epic exit.
It was a sideways trap door that's on the wall.
Isn't any unexpected door just a trap door?
For the people at home, for those who are listening, I turned around me, to which there is a door.
There's a door behind him.
But you can't hear that if you're not watching. So come check us out on YouTube.
So check out the YouTube for an extra fun component.
Uh-huh.
So how did they handle this crisis, right?
Right, yeah.
Well, we know Harry backed away off stage and just kind of fled, fled the stage just to get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Laura Keene from backstage heard some kind of commotion and ran up to the box seats and knelt beside the president, actually holding his head on her lap.
Oh.
A piece of her blood-stained costume still remains today in the National Museum of American History.
Wow.
So her costume piece that she was wearing that day became this incredible piece of history.
Yeah.
That, is still preserved today.
Yeah.
So what happened after the show to Laura and Harry? Well, records exist to show that nearly all of the personnel at Ford's Theater, actors, stagehands, musicians, etc., were all arrested and questioned. The public suspected that the actors were complicit in the assassination. After all, Booth and his whole family were prominent actors, and this crime took place in a theater.
Uh-huh.
So rumors swirled and threats were made to burn the theater down.
Yeah, of course.
The theater was under heavy military guard, and the actors were not permitted to remove their possessions, including their costumes. Yet somehow Laura Keene maybe was allowed to remove her possessions because she was kind of the grande dame, if you will.
Yeah.
Including the dress she wore on that fateful night and a piano that traveled around with her.
She took a piano?
Yeah. I thought that seemed a little bit interesting. We obviously take our research from many different sources.
Yeah.
And one of the sources that I found stated that she traveled around with the same piano and that they did allow her to remove her piano from the theater.
The piano is the one instrument where there's going to be a piano
wherever you go, theoretically.
You don't need to bring your own.
But, I mean, I guess when you're a really big star, you can afford to be a little bit of a diva.
I suppose.
Pop off, Queen.
Pop off, Laura.
Harry also had to make several statements to the authorities as well, as he was a key witness. And in a letter to his family, he stated that his bail was $1,000. They were released, but Keene, Hawk, and another member of the production were arrested only a few days later while attempting to take a train to Cincinnati. Now, this looked particularly suspicious because the third Booth brother, Junius Booth, was working on a production in Cincinnati the night of the incident. So it looked a little bit sus that the brother of the killer was in Cincinnati, and now several of the actors from the show are heading to Cincinnati. So it looked a little sus. So they all got arrested. But eventually the three were released, and they were never tried for any involvement. So it kind of turns out they had another production that was going to be happening in Cincinnati that they were on their way to. So really, it was just a coincidence that they were heading to Cincinnati. That's what was going on. But the press kind of made a bigger deal of it than they needed to.
Classic.
And it's kind of tough because at this time, when a crime like this happened, there was a lot of bad blood going around for actors because, one actor did this terrible crime.
Yeah.
And
but word is going to spread. People are going to say that all actors are bad apples.
Right.
Yes.
Everyone's going to say like, oh, well, she toured with his brother, so she probably knows blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
Like you can see how rumors would spread in a situation like that.
Oh, lay off our girl, Laura.
I know. And Henry Hawk, too.
Yeah, and Henry, too.
Yeah, he was just trying to be a comedian and say this funny old man-trap line, and suddenly he's
It was his favorite line to say.
It was his favorite line to say. In the letter that he wrote to his family, he kind of goes on to say like everyone was laughing hysterically. Like he was saying like, the president and the first lady were laughing hysterically at his line when this happened. So like, it's not, Henry's got nothing to do with it.
Oh, that's horrific.
I know.
Yeah.
So eventually the three were released, and of course they were never tried for any involvement. Although Hawk went by another name professionally for a few years after this, just to avoid any more negative attention.
Yeah.
However, this is kind of spicy. One member of the production team was tried and sentenced to prison time as a co-conspirator. The stagehand at Ford's Theater, named Edmund Spangler, aided Booth in his escape.
Really?
Opening up the stage door and letting him go.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So there were,
Oh my God.
in total, there were 8 people charged with co-conspiracy with John Wilkes Booth. 4 of them were hanged, and 4 of them were given jail time.
Wow.
So the stagehand at Ford's Theater, Edmund Spangler, was given jail time. Eventually, I think he only served a couple years, and then he was...
Because all he did was hold the door?
All he did was hold the door open.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's a pretty large conspiracy to only receive jail time for.
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, the people who were more heavily involved were the people who received death sentences, including... a woman actually was executed, Mary Surratt. They weren't going lightly on these people, obviously. But yeah, so stagehand got a couple years for holding open the door. And of course,
door holder number 3.
Door holder number 3.
Door holder number 3 got tried and got sent to jail.
Yeah, but he was released by 1869. So he only served a few years. So we talked about what happened to the actors who were on stage during all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got to just real quick talk about what happened to the theater itself.
Yeah.
So although this story is obviously infamous, the Lincoln assassination is not by any stretch the most deadly event in the history of Ford's Theater.
Ah.
Right? Surprising, because no one talks about anything else at Ford's Theater.
Yeah.
So after the investigation concluded, John T. Ford, the owner, wanted to reopen the theater, but he was met with threats. So the theater was seized by the U.S. government in 1866, and Ford was compensated for the loss of the theater. The building was then converted into a 3-story office space, which was used by government employees. In 1893, while undergoing some excavation in the basement, a brick support pier collapsed, and one by one, each floor on top of it collapsed. 22 employees perished, and another 68 were injured.
Wow.
So obviously this massive event led some people to believe that the building, which was formerly a church, then a theater, then a government storeroom, was cursed.
Of course, yeah.
The building was repaired, and the record and pension office clerks were moved back a year later. Can you imagine? There's this massive collapse with a massive death toll,
In a
and
building...
a year later, they're like, hey, you're moving back in.
Yeah.
I can't... It was the 1890s, so...
In a building that held, the most traumatic event of the last
in
century.
U.S. history, in the last century, yeah. I can't imagine how scared those people must have been going back to work after that.
Ooh.
So in 1933, the building was given to the National Park Service. It was restored to how it looked during the Civil War era, and it reopened in 1968.
Right. I had heard that it was still open, but I had no clue that there was this whole other extra chapter in the middle of its life.
Right. So today you can actually visit Ford's Theater. You can tour it, and it is restored to what it looked like during the Civil War era, which is very cool. So
they do shows there.
They do.
Yeah.
Yep. You can even attend a show. They have various readings and performances, including, this is really fun, a production of 1776. Which they have starting in March. So March, April, and May, you can attend a production of 1776 at Ford's Theater.
Yeah.
But be careful if you go to a show at Ford's Theater, because it might be cursed.
It might be cursed.
Rumor has it.
Well,
some bad juju. You can't come back from that.
Most theaters we have learned, if we've learned anything on this podcast, is that most theaters are either haunted or cursed.
Every theater's got a little curse in it, and that's one of the reasons we find theaters so fascinating.
True. But my gosh, what a wild story. And a story that everybody knows, the headline of.
Uh-huh.
But, think about the people that were there, that were acquainted with each other.
Yes, the people, and they knew each other. You know, they knew each other well. People kind of say, oh yeah, John Wilkes Booth was an actor, but nobody really thinks about the fact that this happened in a theater. He was an actor. He knew these people.
He part
knew
of the community,
the stage.
Right?
Yeah, he knew the space. So yeah, it really it adds a whole new component when you think about it that way.
Yeah.
And when you think about the fact that these poor actors on stage did not know what was going on. They had no idea.
That's just traumatic for them too.
Exactly. Yeah. And then to have, in the days after, to be arrested and questioned. And,
oh my gosh.
Obviously, obviously they were doing everything they could to try to figure out, who was responsible and all of that. But that had to have been really terrifying for these actors.
The fear of being wrongfully convicted for
something like that. Exactly.
Yeah.
That had to have been really scary for them. And then, you're just on your way to your next gig and you get arrested again.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my, 2 arrests, and then if it's headlines, it's all in the papers because of course everything was so sensational.
Sure.
And then poor Henry Hawk had to change his name for a hot minute because he was just sick of people talking about him in relation to this terrible crime.
Yeah, and you would want to distance yourself from that if you wanted to keep working professionally.
Exactly, you'd want to distance yourself from that. So, and not to mention all the bad flack that came to sort of the acting profession as a result of this.
My God, it's just the worst possible thing that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you're worried about a performance, It's, sometimes you think like, what's the worst that could happen? Probably won't be all that bad. And
this is the worst thing that could possibly happen during a performance.
The murder of maybe the most well-respected American ever.
Like one of the most influential people in American history.
Amazing. Well, we don't usually talk about tragedies because obviously, we're we mostly a comedy podcast.
We're generally a comedy podcast, yes.
But this is such an interesting story for how, first of all, how wrong things can go, and second of all, how the theater angle of this story puts a little bit of a different light on it than I ever thought of before.
Yeah.
Just really the fact that it's a theater and it comes with all of the relationships and community and baggage, I guess, that a theater has. I mean, really is interesting.
How many people have like a former theater situationship that you're like, oh yeah, me and so we were in this show together and we hooked up, but things didn't work out. But like,
and then his
I'm
brother
tight
shot
with
the
him,
president,
and then his brother literally assassinated the president. Like, right? Yeah. Like, it's like, oh, regular theater drama until it's not regular theater drama.
For sure. Well, thank you for that. How interesting.
Yeah. Sort of a weird departure from our usual fare.
That's all right.
But interesting nonetheless. And, we love history on this pod. So, sometimes we just got to dive a little more into the history of it.
Dig a little deeper.
5 minutes.
Thank you, Five. All right, Trev, because today we were talking about the famous actor Edwin Booth with two siblings, the infamous John Wilkes Booth and the lesser-known Junius Booth, but all actors.
Nobody talks about Junius.
We're going to talk a little bit about celebrity siblings today.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So we're going to do a little true or false game.
Oh my gosh.
All right? This is true or false, whether these actors have the specific siblings that I'm going to mention, or if it's false, if they're an only child. All right? You ready?
Neat. Yeah.
Up first, we have Idris Elba, British actor and musician, has a sister, Kamara, who is a model. Is this true or false?
Well, Idris Elba could be a model himself, so it points to being true there. It does not give me only child vibes, which I think is going to be the biggest piece of evidence that I'm going to be working with. So I'm going to say that is true.
That is actually false. Oh. Idris Elba's an only child.
Only child?
Yeah.
Wow.
I figured you would believe he had a sibling that was a model because he's obviously very handsome. So
we're deliberately...
I outsmarted you.
No, never.
I pulled a fast one.
Give me another one. Give me another one. I want to be smart again.
All right. Timothy Chalamet has an older sister, Pauline, who is an actress in TV and film.
Oh, I think I have heard that Timothy Chalamet has had a sister, but I don't remember if I said a sibling, but I don't remember if it was a sister or anything. I'm just gonna take a wild stab at true. I think that this would make sense for Timothy Chalamet to have an older sister.
Yep, that's correct. He does.
That makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. And like any generalization can be made about any group of people, so I'm going to be a little unfair here, but that makes sense for him. He's like stylish. He's got like, I don't know, he's got a cool vibe.
Seems like he would have an older sister who would be like, buddy, here's how you got to dress.
Absolutely.
Here's what you got to wear. Here's how you got to be.
So if we're going to be making generalizations, that would be a generalization that I might make.
Seems like he would have an older sister.
Yeah.
That tracks. All right. I like that. Emma Watson has a younger brother, Alex, who is also a British actor and model.
Wow. I've never heard of this, but I also know that Emma Watson is pretty private about her personal life, so it's not necessarily surprising either way. I'm going to say yes, true. That
Correct.
Is the case.
That is true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice. Okay, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I got you on Idris Elba, but yeah, the other two
you deliberately misled me.
I deliberately misled you. Okay.
Yes.
Ready for your next one?
Mm-hmm.
Gaten Matarazzo of Stranger Things fame began his career on Broadway and has an older sister, Angelina Matarazzo, who has also appeared on Broadway.
Wow. I would love this to be true. I don't know, though. Gaten has been on Broadway since then, but I'm going to say no. he doesn't have the previous Broadway connection or the sister.
That's not the previous Broadway connection isn't the question. The only question is whether he does or doesn't have a sister.
So you didn't throw like an extra lie
I did not throw a
in
second lie in there. He played Gavroche in Les Mis when he was a little child.
I thought he did recently.
No, he played Gavroche before Stranger Things.
Oh, I'm thinking of... Never mind.
Yeah.
Disregard me. I'm thinking of when he was in...
he was in something recently. No, he was in something else too. I forget what it was, but he was in something else and Les Mis, both before Stranger Things.
All right.
The question is whether he does or does not have an older sister named Angelina Matarazzo.
No, that's ridiculous. Of course he doesn't.
That is false. You're correct.
Yay! Wonderful.
I thought Angelina sounded like a good name that would go with the last name Matarazzo. So
Angelina Matarazzo.
Yeah, just sounded cool. No, he's an only child.
Cool.
All right, ready for next one?
Mm-hmm.
Songwriter Burt Bacharach had a younger brother, Billy, who performed as a drummer. True or false?
Totally true. Wait, I know this, don't I? No, but something in me is screaming true that there is a Billy Bacharach who's a drummer.
It's false.
You said it with such conviction that I felt like, oh yeah, hell yeah.
I say a lot of things with such conviction. Okay, I'm glad I can really pull the wool over your eyes.
I guess. This is not a test of whether or not I can decipher the truth. It's whether or not I can decipher when I'm being lied to.
It's also a question of like how realistic my lies are.
Yeah.
Like obviously you believe that Kamara Elba is a model. You're like, yeah, obviously.
Sure.
That's
whatever. We don't have to keep rubbing it in.
Idris Elba's hot sister is obviously a model.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
give me another one. I'm going to be looking directly at your eyes. And I'm going to be able to tell if you're lying to me.
So, all right, you ready?
Yes.
Now I'm going to laugh about it. Now I can't keep it together. Okay. Sutton Foster has a brother, Hunter Foster, who is also an actor, director, playwright, and librettist.
Interesting. That's an interesting tale, and I would be really surprised if that were true, but I don't know a lot about Sutton Foster. I'm going to say you were so specific about that. Actor and a writer and librettist, and what else?
Actor, director,
playwright, and librettist. A multi-hyphenate sibling? Yes, that is true.
That is true.
I wonder, I'm thinking that he might have started as maybe a single hyphenate. And then after Sutton Foster became a big thing, then, he said let me try more and more and more and more.
So I think the situation is that they're both incredibly talented and have been doing everything for a long time. I think Sutton Foster is just maybe a little bit more of a household name, but I think he's been iconic just as long as she has, honestly.
Nice.
It seems like he's really highly accomplished.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I was right, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, true. Are you ready for your last one?
Yes.
Broadway, TV, and film actor Jerry Orbach had a brother, Timothy, who was a theater manager and agent.
Is the only other option that he was a only child?
Yep. The only other option for any of these is only child.
I think Jerry Orbach was a only child.
Correct. He was.
Just again,
he gives only child energy. You're right.
I have a ton of respect for him.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know if don't come and contact us with all the terrible things that Jerry Orbach has done because I don't want to know.
We don't want to know. Yeah.
But I think that he gives good only child energy.
Yeah. So you got 5 out of 7.
Okay.
Which is really quite good.
Neat.
So, I mean, props to you.
Thank you so much.
And I love that I literally just made it that you really believed that Billy Bacharach was a drummer. And I
think I still
really
believe
that.
I think I'm going to be looking up Billy Bacharach on Spotify.
Is Billy Bacharach real?
Uh-huh. I think that you spoke it into existence.
I spoke it, yeah.
And now it's gonna be out there.
To be fair, that's really realistic. That totally sounds like a drummer name.
Because the name Bacharach is so rhythmic.
Yeah.
It's like Bacharach. Billy Bacharach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
It's got a real promises vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Burt Bacharach wrote the music to Promises.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known that.
Oh, come on.
I mean, based on the fact that you said that, I kind of got it.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we have time for today on our first video edition and 60 whatever audio edition of the Amazing Technicolor Shit Show podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening and maybe watching. Send us your stories. We want to hear all sorts of stories about fun and interesting and exciting and terrible and wonderful things that happen in your theatrical life. Send those to us at amazingtechnikolershow@gmail.com or at the form on amazingtechnikolershow.com. And seriously, do send us stories. We seriously are in need of fun things to talk about. We will anonymize everything.
Absolutely.
Change details if you like.
Yeah.
No problems there. Just let us know what stories come to mind. Even if it doesn't seem like it's long enough or interesting enough, I think it probably is a good thing to talk about.
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of people have asked us, do they have to be long stories? Can they be short stories? No, of course they do not have to be long. They can be 2 sentences long. We want to hear them and share them, and we might send you some show swag if you send us your stories.
We will send you at least a sticker, and maybe we're gonna make some other stuff.
More.
Maybe more.
Maybe more.
If you like what you hear, please drop us a line on social media or give us a good review and rating on all the podcast apps that you use. And of course, tell your friends about us. If you don't like what you hear, then tell your enemies, and we will call them a
Sockdologizing Old Man-Trap.
Fish ducking sock fucking man
Man baby.
Man baby. They'll be so embarrassed.
So embarrassed. I'm embarrassed just listening to you.
You always are. Our accompanist is...
Usually I just say piano accompaniment.
Piano accompaniment was provided by Paul Thalen, and the voice of the stage manager is Daniel Schneider.
He's also the in-person physicality of the stage manager if you're watching the
door
vid.
Right there.
If you're watching the vid.
Thank you all so much for listening, and we wish you the very best. As always, whatever you're up to, be it on stage, off stage, or in your life, break a leg.
Amazing Technicolor Shit Show.